Hello. So I thought it would be a good idea. We're up here at the lake house for Labor Day, and I was fishing this morning. And I thought that my uncle loved to fish, and he had a stroke, and my grandpa had asked me to figure out some ways that he could still go fishing. We ended up taking him a couple times, and it did work out pretty well. But I figured I could make this into a quick video and share with you guys some of the tips that I picked up. So I'll talk about the rod and reel first, because I think it's important what you're kind of picking out. I use a spinning rod for everything. I have a bait caster, and I can still use a bait caster pretty well, but if you're a pretty good fisherman and you've used bait casters before your accident or what have you, then I would, you could still pick that up. But if you're trying this for the first time and just starting out, I would probably use an open face spinning rod or reel instead. So let me show you kind of the setup, and then I'll show you just casting and reeling and setting the hook, and we'll take it from there. So this is not an advertisement, so I'm not throwing this out here for Penn or anything, but I use the Penn Battle. You can get it at at BassPro for a couple $100 or whatever for the rod and reel setup. But one thing that in particular that I'm looking for is a really long handle. I like cork because it's a whole lot. I feel like they're a little bit lighter. The whole rod, I try to get 6.5 or 7 foot rod. You could still feel a lot of the action. Maybe a medium or a little bit stiffer rod, just because I hold the fishing rod underneath my armpit, and the way I fish, I don't feel as much if it's like an ugly stick, or most of my ugly sticks are usually you can see the action on the tip of the rod, but you can't really feel it through the rod as much. So I would probably go for just a little bit stiffer rod, maybe even go a little longer too, like a seven footer or so, because they're easier to just kind of manage and push your lure kind of out further, right? And then anyway, so the most important part is having a really, really long handle. That way I can grab it up under my nub, and when I'm actually using the reel, when I'm reeling something in, it doesn't hit my armpit. So I'll show you what that looks like here in just a sec. So basically this is what I meant, is and I'll show you how. So I have like maybe 4 or 5 inches. Check out, best tattoo ever. I have about 4 or 5 inches of a nub here, so I can hold it just like that, right, when I'm fishing. But essentially, even if you had a stroke, the weight of your arm alone is enough to keep the kind of fishing rod up under your arm, okay? But I kind of prepare my cast this way with it holding up under my nub, and then I just hold everything else in my one hand. So when I'm actually casting, I'm doing everything one-handed. Flip the bail back and then go ahead and start fishing. So I'm not going to teach you how to fish. There's other YouTube videos for that, but basically that's all I do, and that's kind of the setup I've used, and I've used it for years. Just quick shout out to Brandon. I've been able to outfish Brandon for my whole life, so I hope that helps a lot. The last thing I wanted to add really quick is how I put on a new lure. And so typically what I'll do is I need to brace my knee up on something or crouch down, and I lay the hook. I left the worm on here just so I could show you, so you could kind of see the hook. But I lay the hook right here flat on my knee, and then I use my nub to kind of press down on it. So when I'm feeding the fishing line, like feeding the fishing line through the eye of the hook and everything, it's just kind of steady. Once I feed it through and I tie my knot, look up another video on how to tie a knot. But once I do that, then I can kind of tighten it this way, and I don't need to hold it on anything, and I'm still not going to get poked or jabbed by the hook. So I hope that helps. Just use your knee right here and your nub to kind of hold it down. You're not going to put your finger through a point, and if you feel like you would, if you take just a little bit of worm like this, okay? And then feed that through the pointy end of a hook before you do anything. You know, so just feed it on like that, right? So if you feed it on like this, then it will protect you whenever you're trying to feed some fishing line through. You're not going to stab yourself. Good luck. So just to recap, find the longest handle that you can possibly find the longest combo. If you're just starting out, just grab a combo rod and reel. You can get one for 100, 150 or so. That will last you years. My Penn Battle combos last me over 5 years easy. Just find the absolute lightest thing you can possibly find, because your nub has to do a lot of work on holding it, right? I fish a lot on the ground, so I fish a lot of worms. I don't do a lot of action fishing, so I don't use a lot of lures that you have to constantly be reeling, because I get, you know, you get taxed and your nub fatigue sets in really quickly. So fish something, you know, if you're using live bait too, it's perfect, because you could just set the rod and kind of leave it. And then you're only using your nub when you're actually catching something. Good luck, and leave comments below. Let me know how it works out for you. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm happy to expand on any of these and these videos and share a little bit more. All right, bye.